Hi, my name's Liz. I'm from London. I'm founder and editor of Voice of Asylum and a writer and human rights campaigner. I've been spending the last couple of days in Athens. The aim of this trip was to meet asylum-seeking families who fled persecution in Turkey, and to find out about their stories and what's going on in Turkey and their situation in Greece seeking asylum. I'd done some research into what was going on in Turkey. I was aware of the worsening human rights situation, especially since after the attempted coup. After the coup attempt, and was doing some research into the professionals, doctors, lawyers, judges who had been forced to flee, sometimes for accusations as simple as downloading an app, associating with people who are on blacklists, for example, and using certain banks. However, it's been quite an emotional trip. We've met around 20 people, some with children around age 2 up to 14, some single mothers separated from their husbands, and it's been quite heart-wrenching to hear their stories. Two people in particular that really affected me. One lady, the pressure of the situation has forced her to separate from her husband. They're both judges. He's in hiding in Turkey, and she was forced to flee to Greece. These families predominantly cross via a river illegally. They're forced to take such desperate measures with their children, and often the children no longer recognise their parents, their fathers, if they do see them again. She hasn't seen her husband for maybe 2 years now, and she's now in Greece on her own with her child, and is hoping to seek asylum in Europe. Another lady whose husband is in prison, again, left with her children. There's some really, really remarkable stories. There's some really strong women, and the families are seeing their pain. It's quite staggering. So two things that have come out from this trip really is highlighting what's going on in Turkey, but also the situation of asylum seekers within Greece themselves. There's a lack of job opportunities, they can't find work, but they're in limbo. They can't leave Greece, but it takes around 5 years for their asylum claim to be processed. 5 years in which there's a lack of economic opportunities, they can't work, they can't settle down, they can't, resume a normal family life. So part of the reason we've come here is to share the stories. So I want to share those stories, and we need to raise awareness of what's going on in Turkey and keep pressuring the Turkish government and raising further awareness in the UK and across Europe. But also we met with a lawyer, a local Greek lawyer, in the couple of days we've been here, and he highlighted the situation of asylum seekers in Greece and the burden on Greece, and how the EU needs to take more of a fair share of responsibility towards asylum seekers and refugees across the EU. So that's another area that I think we need to be working on, sharing the burden, assessing, what kind of life can families have in Greece if they're not able to look after themselves financially, especially doctors, lawyers, professionals who have a lot to give and who want to work, use their skills, resume their lives with their families, but they're not able to. They're stuck in Greece, they can't leave. Many have been attempting to flee by the airport. Those attempts have been unsuccessful. The husbands have been able to go further afield to Germany and to Holland, but the wives with the children are left back in Athens. So there's separated families, children missing their parents back in Greece, for example, if they've been in prison, the parents, and children here in Athens who are missing their fathers, and that's really heart-wrenching. So I'm going to be sharing these stories, and we need to raise more awareness, keep putting pressure on the Turkish government, but also looking at the situation of asylum seekers in the EU as well.